Have you ever felt yourself becoming invisible, fading into the background of someone's life, not because you left, but because you were always there? It is a strange and painful paradox, a quiet sorrow that settles in the heart when your constant presence, your unwavering availability, is met not with gratitude, but with the silent weight of being taken for granted. You become like the air they breathe, absolutely essential for their life, yet completely unnoticed, its value only recognized in its absence. If you feel the truth of these words echoing in the deep chambers of your soul, understand this is not a sign of your weakness, but the beginning of a profound spiritual awakening. You are being called to understand a divine law that governs all energy, all value, and all power in this universe, the sacred law of scarcity. Your spirit, your attention, your love, these are not mundane commodities. They are the most precious forms of energetic currency you possess. To give them away without discernment is to devalue the very essence of your being, to let your divine light become common. But what if you could learn to master this law? What if you could turn this painful invisibility into a magnetic, undeniable presence that commands respect and reverence without a single word? If this deep yearning for self-reclamation resonates within you, signal your readiness to the universe by liking this message. Subscribe to journey with us into these sacred truths and declare your awakening in the comments below. Your simple "I am here" is a powerful affirmation that you are ready to reclaim your divine authority, for you are about to learn the alchemy of turning absence into unshakable power. Let us begin by dismantling the great lie you have been taught, the lie that your worth is measured by your accessibility. From a young age, you were conditioned to believe that to be good, to be loved, to be needed, you had to be perpetually available. You were taught to answer every call, to soothe every cry, to be the reliable bedrock upon which others built their comfort. But this is a path to spiritual depletion. Think of the most precious things on this earth: diamonds, ancient artifacts, a moment of pure, uninterrupted peace. Their immense value comes from their rarity. A diamond is not precious because it is everywhere. It is precious because it is forged under immense pressure over millennia and is found only in the deep, hidden places of the world. Your soul is that diamond. Your focused presence is that treasure. When you are always there, you become a common stone on the path, useful to be stepped on, but rarely admired or treasured for its unique brilliance. This is the availability trap. It's a subtle vortex that drains your life force, lowers your energetic frequency, and renders you predictable. And in the grand chess game of energy and influence, predictability is the death of power. Power, in its purest form, is never seized by force. It is gracefully conceded. It is given to those who hold an aura of mystery, to those whose next move is not guaranteed. When someone knows they can access your energy at will, they cease to respect the source. They unconsciously believe they own it, and by extension, they believe they own you. Reflect on this. When was the last time you truly valued the water that flows endlessly from your tap? You only begin to understand its preciousness during a drought. Do not let your soul become an endless utility for others. It is a sacred, life-giving spring, and access to it must be earned, respected, and honored. The great masters of history understood this divine principle. Niccolo Machiavelli, a name often associated with cold calculation, was in fact a master of this profound psychological and spiritual truth. He observed that the ruler who is always seen, whose every proclamation is heard, soon becomes mere background noise. His authority fades not through rebellion, but through overexposure. He becomes common, predictable, and therefore controllable. The true power, the true awe, belongs to the one whose appearances are events, whose silence is heavy with unspoken meaning. This is where you must begin your transformation. It is time to stop being a constant presence and start becoming a powerful force. This transformation requires a radical shift in your understanding. Your absence is not an act of avoidance or a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of your sovereignty. It is a strategic and sacred withdrawal of your energy, a conscious act of war for the territory of your own soul. In the battlefield of human psychology, the rarest and most potent resource isn't your intelligence, your charm, or your strength. It is your absence. The more you show up uninvited, the cheaper your presence becomes. The faster you reply to every message, the less weight your words carry. The more you explain your every action, the more you invite judgment and assumption. And assumptions are the silent assassins of respect and power. You have been trained by a world desperate for constant stimulation to believe that loyalty means being ever present, that love means answering a call at 3 in the morning, that respect means justifying every moment of your silence. But this is the logic of the powerless. The truth, the deep, resonant truth that Machiavelli would have recognized, is that familiarity breeds not just contempt, but a profound spiritual blindness in others. The moment someone can predict your every reaction, the moment they can count on your energy without question, is the moment they lose the capacity to truly see or value you. The moment they take you for granted, you have already lost the battle for your own energetic integrity. So how do you win? How do you reclaim this lost territory and recalibrate the scales of power and respect in your favor? You vanish. Not as a coward flees a battle, not as a victim retreats in defeat, but as a master strategist repositions their most valuable piece on the chessboard. You must pull back, not because you have nothing to say, but because your silence will say more than 1,000 words ever could. You delay your response, not because you are busy with trivialities, but because you understand that urgency is a leash others use to control you, and you refuse to wear it. You disappear from their immediate view, not to punish them, but to gift them with a powerful reminder. Your presence is a privilege, not a right. It is a sacred gift, not a given commodity. And when you begin to practice this sacred withdrawal, you must prepare yourself, for it will trigger a deep and primal panic in those who have grown accustomed to your endless supply. They will call you cold. They will accuse you of changing, of becoming distant. Let them. Their confusion is the undeniable proof that your strategy is working. Their sudden unease is the sound of the power dynamic shifting in your favor. Their anger is the evidence that they are losing the control they never even realized they had over you. Understand this. The deepest human fear is not rejection. It is the terror of irrelevance. And nothing makes you more irrelevant, more easily dismissed, than being a constant, predictable, and endlessly available resource. Your journey now is to become a rare and treasured experience, a limited edition artifact in a world of mass-produced presences. Now, let us illuminate the sacred strategy, the blueprint for this powerful transformation. This is not about playing games. It is about honoring the physics of the soul. First, you must master the 3-day rule of silence. In our world of instant gratification, every interaction is a transaction of energy. The moment you respond immediately, you pay with your power. You signal that their need is more important than your own centeredness. So wait. Allow a sacred pause. Let 3 sunrises pass before you respond to that non-urgent email, that casual text, that demand for your time. Why 3 days? Because time is the great magnifier. It creates a space, a vacuum that pulls on their thoughts. In that space, their casual inquiry transforms into a deep curiosity. Their passing thought about you grows into a persistent question. The longer your silence stretches, the more they subconsciously inflate your worth in their own minds. Machiavelli would not rush to the negotiation table. He would let his opponents wait, allowing their own anxieties and imaginations to do half the work for him. In that waiting, they would begin to negotiate against themselves, increasing their offer before he had even spoken a word. You must do the same. Let time be your ally, your silent negotiator. Second, embrace the ghosted favor. You must stop being the person who says yes when the universe is screaming no. The world is full of people who will drain your energy without a second thought, asking for favors they could easily manage themselves. They do this not always out of malice, but because you have trained them to. You have been their ever-reliable source of support. The next time someone asks for a favor, especially one that does not align with your higher purpose or that they are perfectly capable of handling, you must disappear. Not forever, just long enough for them to realize that your help is not a given. It is a gift that is bestowed with intention, not handed out like a free sample. Watch how this changes everything. Watch how their tone shifts from entitlement to gratitude when you do choose to help. Watch how they begin to phrase their requests as respectful questions, not as unspoken demands. This is the sound of power changing hands, of respect being born. The masterstroke is to return not with an excuse, but with an offer of something different, something of higher value, steering the interaction back to your own terms. Third, you must perfect the vanishing act. This means you disappear before you are ignored. When you are at a social gathering, a party, or even a simple meeting, learn to leave at the peak of the energy. Leave when the laughter is loudest, when the conversation is most engaging. Leave them wanting more. The common person lingers, overstaying their welcome, their energy slowly fading until their departure is barely noticed, or worse, a relief. The master of power leaves a void, an energetic vacuum that makes their absence felt more strongly than their presence ever was. End conversations first. Be the first to say, "It was wonderful connecting with you, I must go now." This simple act places you in a position of control. You are the one who determines the duration of the exchange. You become the one who ghosts meetings that do not serve your highest purpose. Why? Because legends are never made by those who overstay their welcome. They are made by those who leave people with a lingering taste of their magic, a deep and insatiable desire for more. Bruce Lee, a master of both physical and spiritual discipline, famously said, "It's not the daily increase, but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential." Machiavelli would have taken it a step further. Hack away at your own presence until all that is left in their minds is a hunger for your return. Fourth, you must understand the new economy of power, the anticipation economy. Our modern world has annihilated attention spans. Patience has become obsolete. This makes your restraint a priceless asset. When you pause for just 3 beats before speaking, you command the attention of the entire room. When you let invitations linger for days before accepting, you elevate your status. You must allow days, not hours, to pass between some of your interactions. In doing so, you become the human equivalent of a delayed reward, which neuroscience confirms is the single most addictive psychological trigger. You are training their brain to associate you with a powerful feeling of anticipation and a deeply satisfying release. This is not about being cruel. It is about understanding human nature. You become a mystery they feel compelled to solve. Your last social media update should be allowed to age like a fine wine, its meaning growing deeper and more complex in their minds. Let your unanswered direct messages pile up like unopened treasure chests. The modern world is addicted to the noise of overexposure. You must become the exception, the silent magnetic force that pulls them in. When you stop feeding the algorithm of constant contact, you begin to feed their curiosity. And curiosity is the golden hook that will drag their attention back to you every single time. Finally, you must cultivate your shadow reputation. Your visible self, the one that posts, comments, and shows up, earns likes. But it is your invisible self, the one that exists in the space of your absence, that earns true and lasting respect. By strategically disappearing, your successes will seem larger, more effortless. No one sees the grind, the struggle, the long hours. They only see the magnificent result when you choose to reveal it. Your failures, on the other hand, remain hidden. No one sees the stumbles, the missteps. Your reappearances begin to feel like significant events, not just routine check-ins. This is precisely how icons are made. They are forged through a selective visibility that turns every appearance into a spectacle, every statement into a proclamation. Their power lies not in what they constantly show, but in what they strategically withhold. This is the alchemy of scarcity. You must vanish as a person in their day-to-day life, only to reappear as a powerful force in their consciousness. You are not silent, but deafening in what you refuse to say. This is the dark, beautiful, and powerful magic of scarcity. You don't just disappear. You engineer voids that others feel an overwhelming primal need to fill. And in that void, they will pay with their attention, their respect, and their dignity. This is how you weaponize the unsaid. The weak fear silence. They rush to fill it with nervous chatter, with explanations, emojis, and awkward laughter. They fear the void. But you will let that silence expand. You will let it breathe. You will let it become so deafening that they begin to hear things you never said. They will start to create stories, to build narratives in their own minds to explain your absence. That is the moment the true magic happens. That is, when their own mind begins to write your legend for you. They will convince themselves that your silence is a sign of profound depth, that your absence is a clue to a mysterious and more important life, that your indifference is the ultimate form of confidence. And the most beautiful part of this entire process is that they are not wrong. Here lies the alchemy. When you stop announcing your moves, people start tracking your shadow. When you stop justifying your position, they start assuming you have better options. When you stop begging for their attention, they start fearing they have lost yours. This is not manipulation, it is a deep understanding of energetic physics. For every action of desperate visibility, there is an equal and opposite reaction of diminished value. The math is merciless. The more you show, the less you are worth. But when you disappear strategically, you watch the entire equation of your relationships flip in your favor. The ultimate power play reveals itself in the return. You haven't been absent at all. You have been everywhere, just beyond their reach. Not gone, but omnipresent in what you choose not to touch. You have become a silent partner in every negotiation, an invisible check on every demand. This is how dynasties of influence are built, not through the sweat of constant visibility, but through the calculated and graceful rhythm of presence and withdrawal that keeps the world forever captivated and slightly off balance. The game of power never ends. But by mastering the art of absence, you are no longer just a player on the board. You have become the house, and the house always wins. The true test of your newfound power isn't in how long you can disappear, but in the gravitas and authority of your reappearance. Most people squander the power of their absence. They return with a flood of excuses, a torrent of apologies, or worse, a needy eagerness that instantly erases all the mystery they have built. The strategic player understands a fundamental truth. Your return should never explain your absence. Your absence should explain your return. When Machiavelli finally returned from the darkness of exile, he did not come back begging for his old position. He arrived with The Prince in his hand, a manuscript, a masterpiece forged in silence that would outlive every ruler who had ever wronged him. That is the master stroke. You vanish not to escape the game, but to reset the board entirely. Your reappearance shouldn't whisper, "I'm back." It should force the world to ask, in a tone of awe and not accusation, "Where have you been?" You resurface not where they expect you, but where you can make the most profound impact. Not with a loud fanfare, but with the quiet, undeniable inevitability of a king returning to his throne.